Tonight it's Carabao Cup fourth round action as Manchester United host Newcastle United at Old Trafford. For Talksport 2, it's former England striker Dean Ashton alongside our chief football commentator Sam Matchface.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Old Trafford. As the two teams emerge from the tunnel, away to our left in the corner of the Sir Bobby Charlton stand and the Stretford end, a big, huge, handmade, hand-painted banner, glazes out, is risen above the tunnel, as it is every time the two teams emerge here for any home game. It is Sean Longstaff who is leading out Newcastle United on the occasion of his 150th appearance for his boyhood club. For Manchester United is yet another change of captain. Tonight, the returning Casemiro has that honour of wearing the armband. I believe that it is only a matter of time before we are showing our true selves. It will come, I am certain. Erik ten Hag still has belief in his ability to deliver success after their worst start to a season in 3.5 decades. I just wonder whether or not the Manchester United fans still feel the same. Manchester United entering a critical period of fixtures in which they will play Fulham, decide their Champions League fate away in Copenhagen, take on Luton and Everton over the next couple of weeks before the international break. They haven't got much chance of winning the league. They might not even make the knockout stages of the Champions League, so the Carabao Cup might be their only real chance of success, certainly their best chance of success. And as Erik ten Hag takes the applause of the supporters as he walks from the tunnel down the touchline to his seat in this Sir Bobby Charlton stand, there is a murmuring of applause back to the manager, who is under real pressure for the first time. Newcastle would love to be serial trophy challengers. They were edged out in the final of this competition at Wembley by Manchester United back in March, and relations between the two have not been great. Eddie Howe said that his team don't need to prove a point, they've already done that, but there'll be revenge in the back of their minds somewhere. The teams are, well, mismatched really, because Manchester United look a little bit stronger than Newcastle. Onana is the goalkeeper, Dalot, Lindelof, Maguire and Reggie on the back four. It's Casemiro, Hannibal and Mason Mount in midfield with Garnacho, Martial and Anthony up top. For Newcastle, well, we're still working out the formation. Dubravka is their goalkeeper. We expect Livramento and Hall to be the wing-backs, right and left. Emil Kraft, the 29-year-old Swede, is making his first appearance since August 2022, plays alongside Paul Dummett and Matt Targett in a three-man defence. Joel Linton and Longstaff and Joel Willock make up a midfield three, and then Gordon and Ritchie up top. We'll see how it pans out. Sky have got it as a 4-3-3 with Ritchie on the right and Targett on the left, and a flat back four of Livramento, Kraft, Dummett and Hall. We shall see what happens when these two teams get us underway on the whistle of Rob Jones in the next couple of moments. Dean Ashton is alongside us. Dean, whatever happens here tonight, Manchester United have to win, don't they?
Yes, especially with the team that Newcastle have put out. I know they've got players on the substitutes bench, but you'd expect a team such as this, that Manchester United with Anthony Martial and Garnacho on that side, would relish playing against this Newcastle defence. It's added, actually, more pressure to Manchester United with Eddie Howe's team selection.
Big story here at Old Trafford tonight. Manchester United against Newcastle United, live on Talksport 2. On Talksport, Bournemouth taking on Liverpool down at the Vitality Stadium. And we'll go round the grounds, not only here but there as well. If you want to flick between the two stations, you can download our app. It's pretty easy. Just put Talksport into your Google Play or your Apple App Store. We're underway live on Talksport with the red shirts, white shorts and black socks of Manchester United attacking the scoreboard end in the first half, as is usually their want. And Newcastle United in black and white striped shirts, black shorts and white socks, attacking the goal away to our left. I did read yesterday that there were all sorts of problems with the home kit, and that Andre Onana had actually been wearing a replica jersey from the mega store because the one that was tailored for him by Adidas was too tight. But he's wearing a green jersey instead of a yellow one tonight, as Manchester United look to come forward on this right-hand side. The first touch for tonight's captain, Casemiro, sends it back to inside the box, and Manchester United were so abject in that derby defeat, in the second half in particular, they cannot afford anything other than a good performance again tonight.
No, exactly. I mean, I know it's a little bit nippy. But Manchester United's front three all with gloves on tonight. I know it's only a small thing, but that does resonate with some supporters.
And let's go off to Stamford Bridge. There's been a goal for Talksport 2's Alex Crook.
And a goal for Chelsea. Chelsea 1, Blackburn 0. Chelsea's forwards have been misfiring so far tonight, so Benoit Badiashile, the defender, decided to take matters into his own hands. It came from a short corner on the right-hand side. Conor Gallagher's cross only parried by Wolstadt in the Blackburn goal, and Badiashile fired home from 8 yards. Chelsea 1, Blackburn 0.
Already got an injury here, and there's an issue for Newcastle United, have had several injury problems, and they're just trying to sort out just how significant.
Yes, it's Matt Targett who's down, and I mean he's holding his hamstring. Whether he takes a knock or no, he just overstretches, I would expect, early on in the game when you're trying to get up to speed. He's not played, obviously, from the start a lot of football. He's actually been playing in a midfield role in there alongside Longstaff and Joelinton on the left, Hall at left back.
Well, he's going to come off, and it's only 7 appearances already this season for Matt Targett, but not many minutes, and he just stretched across Anthony to try and win the ball, and as he did that, he just felt a bit of a ping, and it may well be that they have to use one of those heavyweight substitutes, Almiron or Bruno Guimaraes, inside the first 2 minutes. And I suppose when you do name a team that makes 8 changes, Dean, you run the risk, especially if those 8 changes contain players that haven't really played too much football, that you're going to have to use some of the heavyweights.
Yeah, and look, he'll probably just be feeling as if, everything's against him at the moment, Eddie Howe, with the injuries that they've already got long term at that. I mean, you hope that it's not for Matt Targett, but the way he's limping off here from the Old Trafford pitch, you would expect that to be a long-term hamstring problem for Matt Targett, and already having to call upon players that you wanted to give a rest to. And I think it's Almiron who's got his top off. He's had an energy gel, and he's going to be in.
He is. Immediate change for Eddie Howe and his team. And we've only played, 2 minutes of the game before they had to withdraw Matt Targett, and it's going to be 4 minutes on the clock when Almiron comes into the team. Bearing in mind the big week they've got away at Arsenal, then going off to the game against, it's home to Arsenal, isn't it, on Saturday, and then the big game against Dortmund in the Champions League, which is live on Talksport 2 next Tuesday afternoon. You won't want to use too many of those established stars. 0-0 then, and already a change live on Talksport. Bournemouth are behind against Liverpool. Cody Gakpo with the goal, and that can be listened to right now if you get our app. Dallo down the right side, trying to get the cross in as we get back underway after a stop-start beginning to the football match here at Old Trafford. I was actually casting my mind back as Almiron comes on now, getting instructions from Jason Tyndall, for the good displays that Manchester United have put on here this season. I think the only one I could think of is the Crystal Palace game in the Carabao Cup, when Roy Hodgson rested everybody, and really those that were on the pitch didn't really try a leg.
No, it was I think everything before the game was Roy Hodgson's team selection, almost letting Manchester United off the hook, and they made the most of that. And the players actually that came into that game, Garnacho in particular, I thought was excellent that night. And that's why I think Manchester United fans were thinking, well, we've seen him in that game, how come he hasn't been given a bit more of a chance?
Ball's over the top of Paul Dummett's head. Hannibal is chasing it, and Dubravka will allow it to go out. He shoves Dubravka, who goes down the slope behind the goal and towards the disabled area away to our right hand side. Hannibal, who is a little bit feisty, does like to push his luck a little bit, ended up causing a bit of an issue for Dubravka, who shrugged it off and then went to take the goal kick away to our right hand side. Talksport 2 live at Old Trafford. Slow start to the game because of that substitution. Bournemouth behind against Liverpool. West Ham 1-0 up against Arsenal. Chelsea 1, Blackburn 0. Everton 1, Burnley 0. Ipswich 0, Fulham 1. And of course goalless here. Celtic have got a goal back against St Mirren. It's a 1-1 in the Scottish Premiership. Dallo goes sprinting down the right hand side. Ball too heavy for him. Anthony's not happy about his response. Says, come on, you can do better than that. And it goes out of play and away for a Newcastle throw in the left full-back position. Newcastle looked a little bit tired, a bit jaded on Saturday night, But they are on a good run of form, Dean. Only one defeat in their last 10 games suggests they're a team full of confidence.
They are, and actually, I know it sounds strange, but with that change, again, they look a little bit more naturally balanced with a midfield three of Longstaff, Joelinton and Willock, with Almiron now going to left wing, whereas obviously Matt Ritchie was playing in that midfield role.
Yeah, Ritchie going out to the right-hand side, Almiron coming out to the left, Gordon playing down the middle tonight, which is a position that he played for the England under-21s in the summer period. Ritchie hasn't started a game this season, neither had Emil Kraft before this evening. Paul Dummett's only start was that game against Manchester City in the previous round. Not many teams managed to get through the Carabao Cup and knock out both Manchester United and Manchester City, but that is the job for Newcastle tonight. The ball on the halfway line, it's picked up by Casemiro. He floats the ball over the top, looking for the darting run from midfield by Hannibal Mejbri. Too heavy, bounces once and then goes scooting behind and away for a goal kick.
I know it's only a small thing, but actually that's one thing I feel like I haven't seen from a Manchester United team, which is that midfield player getting beyond the striker, getting beyond when it's Højlund there, getting beyond him to try and disrupt the back line. At least Hannibal there, he's looking to try and run beyond to maybe create space for Martial. I think when Bruno Fernandes or Eriksen, even Mount at times, play in that role, they don't get beyond the forward. You don't help the forward out.
Yeah, and another one who's caused a bit of surprise by coming in, doing well in League Cup games, played well actually in the Burnley game, Hannibal Mejbri, and then was switched out again as soon as they started getting the bigger names back and the bigger teams coming to town. And yet he is an energetic fella, certainly got legs and adds legs to that midfield, and they sort of need that, I think. Here is Dallow on the right side, dispossessed by Willock into Anthony Gordon, picked up by Lewis Hall. They signed from Chelsea on loan with a obligation to buy at the end of the season. The press is on from Manchester United and Hannibal is leading that, and Mason Mount playing in a sort of 8 position just in front of Casemiro in that staggered midfield, which I don't really like, I've got to be honest. I feel as if it's a little bit too open, because there doesn't seem to be sort of enough cohesiveness between the trio in that midfield. It's almost like an inverted triangle.
Yeah, I think that's a great description actually, Sam, because at times it looks like they're in the right positions, and then all of a sudden Casemiro's completely on his own, Mason Mount's way out on the left, Hannibal's almost playing as a striker, and you've left a huge gap in the right hand side of your midfield.
Ball is over with Anana over on the left. It's out towards Reguilon. Mount round the corner, back in by Garnacho, picked up by Hannibal, who drops deep inside his own half on the left hand side. The switch is on for Anthony on this near side, but they didn't use it, and then it goes out over on the far touchline and away for Reguilon to bring it forward. Casemiro halfway, switches the ball now out to the right, looking for Anthony, who juggles it with his head, brings it down, touches it infield with his left foot, looks to try and tease Hall, loses out to Lewis Hall, and the 7,000 travelling Newcastle supporters over on the far side think that was hilarious and give Lewis Hall a big cheer. It is an opportunity, isn't it, for Lewis Hall, for Emil Kraft, for Paul Dummett, for Joe Willock to showcase their talents and say, you know, we can step up when necessary. It's an opportunity for them to prove that they are good, useful squad members tonight.
I think that's what Eddie Howe's done so well, though, is you've got players in his squad that when they come in, they give you a professionalism, an energy, playing for the shirt. But just going back to Anthony there, when that ball was played across from Casemiro, he did brilliantly. He controlled it with his head. He then checked back with a beautiful bit of skill. And then I sort of think back to the great Manchester United wingers, the Beckhams, the Giggs, the Kinchelskis. That then should have been delivered. If you're a forward, your winger's beaten his man. He's in a great position on his favoured foot. Get that into the box. And then he tries a roll with the top of his foot through the legs. That needs to be coached by the manager.
It's the kind of thing that Cristiano Ronaldo would do when he first arrived and then didn't do season after season after that.
Yeah, not after he had a few
Roy Keane rumbles.
Yeah.
11 minutes gone. It's Manchester United 0, Newcastle 0, live on Talksport 2. The ball in midfield, and Joe Willock's trying to get the better of Sergi Reguilon. It runs loose inside the centre circle, and Joe Linton is there. He picks it up, runs laterally towards the left. Back in field it goes to Longstaff. Now flicked up by Gordon. Looks for Willock, who had to stretch to beat Garnacho to it, and now it's on the right-hand side with Tino Livramento. Back in field it comes to Willock. Willock moving forward, helping it on down the right into the path of Longstaff. Longstaff in a tussle, then the ball goes out to the far touchline, and Livramento just about takes it out of play, and it goes back down the right touchline and into the path of Casemiro, out for a throw-in. And it's Talksport 2. In fact, it's a free kick, is it? An offside decision on the edge of the penalty area, and Onana wants to take ownership of this, so he travels out towards the left-hand side.
How strange is it, Sam, that injury? How has it knocked any flow of the game at all? The energy that normally a game starts with, a game with these sorts of sides, has just gone because of that injury. Really strange.
The tempo is slow, there's a lack of intensity, but there's a good deal of noise from the travelling Newcastle supporters away to our right-hand side, and they're on a good run against Manchester United. Their only defeat in the Red Devils in the last 4 meetings was in last year's League Cup final. Here is Anthony Martial fighting for the ball over on the far side. He's beaten Kraft to it, played it into Garnacho. Good feet, tries to keep it in, does that. Anthony's got it inside the area, lays it back off to Casemiro. Strike is down the throat of the goalkeeper, who drops to his right and manages to save it. It's a good, solid stop from Dubravka, but it was one that he would be expected to be able to prevent.
Yeah, really good play actually from Anthony Martial, working hard off the ball to win that off Kraft, and then played it back to Garnacho, and that's what he's so good at. He's direct, gets down the line, whips that into Anthony. Lovely layoff to Casemiro, keeps it low, but doesn't really bother Dubravka.
Almiron trying to feed Gordon down the right-hand side, and Gordon went skating forward, then stepped on the ball. That allowed Manchester United to win it back. Harry Maguire, who's been back in the team regularly in the last few weeks, lays it across to Onana. You can understand why he thought that he would get game time even when the manager didn't fancy him, because he knew that with the injuries that were likely to befall the likes of Lindelof and Martinez and Varane, they're always perennially injured, he would get his chance. That's a foul by Hannibal Mejbri, and it was quite some foul as well. He was rather aggressive as he went in the middle of the park. Matt Ritchie went down, and a yellow card came out for Hannibal.
This is absolutely brainless. This is...
It's Sean Longstaff, actually.
Yeah, this is a kid that's trying to make an impression, but this isn't the right way. It's not. Yes, of course, close players down, put yourself about, be physical, but he's just got himself booked by clattering into Longstaff very, very late. He was never getting near the ball. He purely did it for effect, and it's the wrong thing to do. He's now, got to be really careful.
And he's going to miss the next EFL Cup match as a result of that, because he got a booking in the last round against Crystal Palace as well. Here's Gordon popping it up to Willock, edge of the area, foul by Casemiro.
No.
And that's going to be a free kick about 7 yards back from the edge of the area. Casemiro can't quite understand why the free kick has been given. Robert Jones, the referee, says no arguing, let's get on with it. There is no VAR, by the way, involved tonight. I wonder actually whether VAR would have had a quick look at that Hannibal incident, if indeed there was a VAR involved this evening.
Yeah, possibly, but I don't think there was any danger in terms of near the head with that challenge from Hannibal. It was just really, really daft, and Robert Jones has fallen for the Willock, flicked it round the side of Casemiro, and as soon as he felt any of Casemiro's body, he threw himself to the floor.
So here's the free kick taken by Ritchie on the left edge of the area. He sings it towards the back post. It's headed away by Lindelof, smuggled behind. It's out for a corner. The first of the game to Newcastle United. We've played 16 minutes. It's Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 0. Remember, Newcastle lined up with, well, pretty much a back four of fullbacks now. They started with Matt Targett available to them as well, but he had to limp off after 2 minutes because of a hamstring injury. And as a result of that, well, Newcastle were forced to bring Almiron into the fray. They look a little bit more balanced as a result. The delivery towards the far post is towards Joel Linton, who rises, heads the ball against Maguire. It's half cleared by United in the right fullback position. It's collected now by Martial to Casemiro, and then Hannibal under pressure from Lewis Hall is dispossessed. The ball goes out of play and it's away in the right fullback position for a throw into Diego Dalot. But any sort of suggestion that maybe Newcastle would come here and be well beaten and outplayed by Manchester United, I don't think it's going to happen, do you?
No, they've made a decent start. Have Newcastle, when they've got the ball, they're looking to play. They're not just whacking that forward. They can't, because they've got Anthony Gordon as the centre forward. And
Hannibal again late in the middle of the pass on Emil Krafth, and I tell you what, he's going to be very lucky here, because I think that was at least half a second too late, and in any other circumstances he might have seen a yellow card for that offence, and as a result he's being pulled away now by his teammates, and he's got to be very careful, because the next time he commits a foul he'll be off.
I mean, the manager's got an issue already with Hannibal. He's already thinking he's on a yellow card. He's now gone in for another one, which is very, very questionable in terms of how much contact he really did have. I think he went in rather nastily on Emil Krafth, and I think he's got away with it here, because it's not a very nice challenge. He probably just doesn't catch him with enough force for Robert Jones to send him off. But already probably Ten Hag's thinking he's going to give me a massive issue if he gets sent off.
Well, there's every chance that it will happen now. 17.5 minutes played, and he's already on a booking and a warning. And Newcastle United have the ball. They've cleared it only just, and then Dalot has whacked it back towards the edge of their penalty area. Joel Linton brings it down, almost gives it away to Mason Mount, who sprints forward to close down the opposition. The ball breaks towards the left of the centre circle. It's into the air by Matt Ritchie, and then Mount wins it back for Manchester United left side. Reggie on now, plays it back to halfway. United in possession, 0-0 the score, live on Talksport. And Talksport 2, we're taking you around the grounds as well when anything changes elsewhere. At the moment, Liverpool, West Ham, Chelsea, Everton, Fulham all in front, but goalless in this particular fixture. Here is Garnacho trying to win the ball away from Tino Livramento, runs into traffic, is held up by Ritchie, plays it back in field, collected by Casemiro. Livramento goes in on Reguilon, but it's chipped forward by Casemiro towards Mount, who's pushed out of the way by Krafth, and then the ball smuggled through by Joel Linton past Hannibal into Willock, who's bounding forward. He's got options through the centre and out left, and then there's a tackle by Casemiro which is clumsy, and he's going to generate another free kick for Newcastle United, 10 yards back from the edge of the D, just a shade left of centre, and he might get a yellow card as well. He does, Casemiro.
I can't believe already this season just how often he dives in, Casemiro. Again, he actually works really hard, Casemiro, to get back into a position to challenge Willock, because they're away, and they've done well, the two centre-backs, to stop Anthony Gordon having the space to run into. Casemiro gets himself back, and then he just sticks a leg out and just brings Willock down. It's actually really lazy defending for someone that's got so much experience.
Well, they're in trouble now with two central midfielders on yellow cards, Manchester United. And it's a long tightrope to walk between now and the end of the game.
And another sign that when Manchester United lose the ball, they are just so out of shape. It's so easy to get to their 18-yard line.
And they've done it again, Newcastle, and they have another free kick. And it's at the feet of Matt Ritchie, who's taking charge, sends it square to Joel Willock, who then pops it down the left, and Ritchie's got it once again. Didn't get the first time crossing. The second time one goes towards Longstaff. It's on the edge of the area for Gordon, who misread the flight of the ball, and Hannibal looks to escape with it at his feet, challenging over on the far side, but Newcastle surround the Manchester United players and win it back on halfway. 20 minutes gone, still goalless, but Newcastle more than holding their own despite 8 changes. Manchester United made 7 changes, but it's a slightly unfamiliar look to the Newcastle team. And here is Joel Linton exchanging passes with Almiron. Those two are a little bit more familiar. To Willock, left side, and now Ritchie with a cross towards the far post. It goes over the head of everyone and goes out of play on the far side. Well, you can understand if Ritchie is a little bit out of sorts. He hasn't played this season. This is his first start of the campaign for the 34-year-old. Last scored a goal actually July 2020.
They're making the most of it, though, aren't they, Newcastle? That space in the Manchester United midfield, with Hannibal at times going to join Anthony Martial with Mason Mount.
Oh dear.
On the left-hand side.
They've got another problem here for a not often used player.
That's Longstaff.
It's Longstaff who's gone down over on the far side. The last thing they'll want to do is lose him.
No, I think he just took one in the unmentionables.
Really unmentionable? Here is Ritchie, edge of the area, trying to shoot from distance, and it's well wide of the goal. Span off the outside of his foot and went behind and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. It's been a flat performance by Manchester United, though, hasn't it, so far? We've only played 21.5 minutes, but I was expecting a little bit more of a response. Were you?
I was, but the shirt is heavy, the pressure's high. There's no doubt about that. With after the performance of the weekend, I don't necessarily just think that automatically springs back into a team. It's not even as if it was just the weekend. There's been so many flat performances.
Mason Mount picking the ball up on halfway, then trying to play it out wide left. He plays it to a former Chelsea teammate instead in Livramento, and they lose the ball, Manchester United, as a result. It's interesting to see how his career develops from here, Mason Mount, because he just hasn't got going, has he, since getting to Old Trafford. Here's Willock in behind the defence, tries to get beyond Medjbri, who makes a tackle, and he times it just right. It's a brilliant tackle, in fact, by Hannibal to win the ball back for Manchester United, and then Maguire will get it forward. Via Casemiro, it goes over the halfway line. Mount plays it square and into Casemiro once again. He looks up, he needs someone to make that run in behind the defence, or make someone available down the right side. Anthony does that, exchanges passes with Martial, runs towards the edge of the penalty area. Willock goes in, good tackle by him, and then to stop it from going out for a corner, Dummett comes across and puts it away for a throw-in.
Yeah, it was sharp though from Anthony. Actually, lovely little 1-2 with Anthony Martial, and then brilliant play from Willock to slide in.
Lindelof has just run into a black and white brick wall and given the ball away cheaply. 23 gone, still goalless on Talksport, and no clear-cut chances so far. Casemiro's effort from range about the closest we've come so far in the game. But Newcastle United, whose selection policy questioned by some, but I think there's a bit of realism that's required. This is a team that are competing in the Champions League. They've got a hell of a lot of injuries to frontline first-choice players. Suspension to Tonali as well hasn't helped. Lewis Hall tying himself in a bit of a knot, and Anthony trying to profit from that. And then the referee blows the whistle for a foul against Anthony, which I think is a little bit pernickety.
Very. I mean, Eddie Howe will be delighted, though, really, with the injury early on as well. How his team started, the energy that they've shown so far, getting the better of Manchester United in that midfield area, we knew would be key. I'm just going to take my headphone off to see if I can actually hear anybody inside the stadium that isn't Newcastle persuasion. They haven't had much to cheer about. They've lost 4 of their last 7 home games, Manchester United. In fact, the last time the United started a season this badly, a delegation of the board drove north to Glasgow to convince Sir Alex Ferguson to replace Ron Atkinson. And it's hard to believe that Newcastle finished 4 points behind Manchester United last year. But the way the season has started, Newcastle look like a team that are ready to progress, whereas United have regressed. That seems to be the situation up until this point, as West Ham take a second half lead. In fact, they've doubled their lead. They lead by 2-0. Mohamed Kudus with the goal. He's just cut in from the right flank and arrowed the ball past Aaron Ramsdale. So Arsenal look as if they're in trouble too. It could be up for grabs for anyone this Carabao Cup without Manchester City in it. Ball is over on the far side, and it's with Tino Livramento. He's fouled, and as a result of that foul, that's not even a foul, I'm sorry, it's so sloppy from Manchester United. Reguilon plays it into Martial, whose touch towards Garnacho's horrible. Garnacho then lets the ball run under his foot and out of play. I mean, that at this level, at this club, has got to be better whether there's pressure or not.
Well, it's been pretty basic so far from Manchester United. The only real sort of bright spark was when Casemiro lifted the ball over the top for Hannibal Medjbri to dart beyond the back line. You know, he was still miles away from reaching that ball, but it looked like a little bit more wit and invention. That wit and invention died a death very quickly. Lindelof on the halfway line, pushing the ball into midfield and getting it back from Casemiro. It goes square into Maguire. Aston Villa and Newcastle shorter odds for a top 4 finish than Manchester United, and you can see why, as Anthony is strolling into the centre of the penalty area, allowing Dalot to come up on this right-hand side, but he can't get the better of Lewis Hall, and the ball is smuggled out and away for a throw-in down in front of us. 0-0.
Yeah, they're just condensing the play, Newcastle. The distance between the back 4 and Anthony Gordon, when they haven't got it at times, is probably about 30 yards. And they're saying to Manchester United, come on, try and play through us, or even try and play it over the top of us. And Manchester United, because they're playing the ball so slowly, that when they do that, Newcastle, that's when you need genuine runners from midfield. Mount, Hannibal, Anthony, you have to disrupt that positions that they have defensively.
Dubravka has taken out the press and played it down the left to Hall, who's clipped it into the left channel, and Almiron's on the chase. He's got it, kept it in by the corner flag, and Newcastle now move up to the edge of the box. Gordon into Hall, who's joined onto Willett, quick feet, tries to squeeze it back to him, can't do so. Casemiro gets there, then Gordon wins it back again ahead of Dalot on the edge of the penalty area. He goes back out wide to the left, and Almiron trickles towards the box and then gives it back to Gordon. They look more confident, Newcastle, than Manchester United, even with the changes. Almiron, it's back into Hall, tries to poke it past Hannibal, who intercepts this time, and then Manchester United get it back, and Lindelof can bring it out of defence. It's 0-0. Here's Reguilon running at pace down that left-hand side. He needs an outlet in the middle, but Martial couldn't take it into his body. The referee might have gotten his way there. It's bounced kindly for Newcastle, and they come forward. Harry Maguire steals in ahead of Gordon and wins it, feeds Hannibal, and now they come forward. Down the left, it's Garnacho moving up to the edge of the penalty area. He's dispossessed by Tino Livramento, and now he's running clear over the halfway line. He brushes past Hannibal, brushes past Mount. He's got Gordon down the right channel. He feeds Almiron inside the box. It's Almiron past the goalkeeper and in, and Newcastle United take the lead 29 minutes into this Carabao Cup tie, and the 7,000 travelling fans from across the other side of the country celebrate a goal for substitute Almiron, and Manchester United's Old Trafford is feeling tetchy again. It's Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 1. Another counter-attacking goal for Newcastle. A catalogue of failures by Manchester United, and they've been punished.
I mean, this goal could not sum up Manchester United anymore at the moment. They are the ones on the attack. Down that left-hand side, the ball's played into Alejandro Garnacho. He tries to take on Livramento. Livramento just reads it, puts him on his backside with too much strength. Reguilon had committed himself on the overlap, which is where Garnacho should have played it. But then Livramento gets the ball, brushes past Hannibal, brushes past Mason Mount without a challenge, gets his head up, and cannot believe that Almiron has just got in behind Dalot, has completely switched off. He's free, he's into the penalty area with no challenge whatsoever, and puts a lovely finish past Onana. Just steadies himself, little arm across Dalot, and then fires it into the right-hand side of the Manchester United goal. What a break from Newcastle United.
That's terrific football from Livramento and from Miggy Almiron, who goes and sits by the corner flag and does a little impersonates a toddler driving a toy car.
Has he just passed his test? Or?
Maybe. Either that, or he's saying Erik ten Hag's at the wheel.
Oh. I mean, honestly, the errors are just in plain sight for Manchester United. We can't brush over it. We can't make it seem better than it was in that situation. It was just terrible attacking, and then woeful defending, and just a huge hole in the middle of their midfield.
How has he managed to get past Hannibal and Mason Mount and then lay the ball out towards the left-hand side so perfectly without a challenge? That's the inquest. Here's Garnacho down the left-hand side, looking for Mount, who stabs the ball goalwards from the edge of the 6-yard box. He has a collision with the Newcastle defender when he does so. It's well wide of the right-hand upright, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. We've played 30 minutes. It's Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 1. You're listening to Talksport 2 tonight, live at Old Trafford. It's been a rather limp defence of the Carabao Cup from Manchester United so far, and this repeat of the final has basically been Newcastle's to take, and eventually they have. They've looked the more accomplished side in the opening 30 minutes of the game despite 8 changes. Casemiro, though, has won it back after a poor ball forward by Longstaff. Collected now by Hannibal. Back in field it goes to Dalot. Dalot trying to turn. Out on the right is Anthony. Anthony plays it back to Dalot. Edge of the penalty area. Goes beyond Almiron. Gets to the byline. Produces a cross. Aimed towards Mason Mount. Hits him on the chest. I think it came over Anthony Martial's head. And then it sort of slammed into his body, and it's a handball.
It was brilliant. Brilliant play by Diogo Dalot and Anthony on this right-hand side. Lovely little 1-2 between the two players. Great little clip in from Dalot, floating that in the air. Anthony Martial goes up as if he's going to head it and just ducks out of it at the last second because it's probably just a fraction too high for him. Mason Mount's right behind him, thinks he's going to head it, and therefore he's not ready when he doesn't.
Yeah, he thought that Martial was going to get there, didn't he? And then when it came from behind him, it ended up just hitting his arm.
He must have given Martial a shout, though, because Martial ducks out of trying to go for it. He must have had a shout, and then Mason Mount wasn't ready.
He wasn't, and Manchester United don't look ready. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 1. And we did always worry whether Newcastle would have anything to fear from Manchester United's understudies. Their away form has been a point of concern, Newcastle. The only victory on the road this season was that 8-0 thrashing of Sheffield United. But so far, so good here at Old Trafford tonight. Elsewhere, in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, West Ham 2-0 up against Arsenal. Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 1. Chelsea 1, Blackburn 0. Everton 1, Burnley 0. Ipswich Town 0, Fulham 1. And still 1-1 between Celtic and St Mirren in the Scottish Premiership. Half-time in that game. Hearts 0, Livingston 0. Aberdeen 2-0 up away at Motherwell. St Johnstone 2-0 up against Kilmarnock, and Dundee 0, Rangers 0. And that one a late kickoff, I think. We'll keep you updated with it throughout the course of the afternoon. We're listening to Talksport. 2.
Great battle over on that left-hand side. Garnacho against Livramento. Obviously Livramento instrumental in the goal, but also Garnacho a couple of times now has beaten him on the outside and got crosses in.
Well, it's the 6th appearance for Tino Livramento. He was very composed up against Grealish in the previous round of this competition. He was smothering and shackling the England man. That was his first 90 minutes since he picked up an ACL injury in April 2022. And the crowd at St James's Park that night sang Tino, Tino. But it was echoes of a very different Tino, wasn't it? He played very well during that game. Has already sort of been taken to the hearts of the Newcastle supporters. But it's interesting when you look at this team and you think that, you can tell what Newcastle are doing. They're picking up these younger players, these cast-offs from other teams. Chelsea had Livramento, Chelsea had Hall. And they probably both get into the Chelsea team right now, that's for sure. Let's go down to the London Stadium. News of another goal comes from Joe Shannon.
West Ham 3, Arsenal 0 now. Jared Bowen snapshot from the edge of the area. Did take a deflection on its way through, but it's a mistake from the Arsenal goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale. It goes right through him. West Ham 3, Arsenal 0.
The Newcastle United fans, there's 7,000 of them here tonight, are singing "You're Getting Sacked in the Morning" to Erik ten Hag, who's sitting in his technical area now, not engaging, as Hannibal wins the ball back on the edge of the area, gets it back from Anthony. Oh, he doesn't get it back from Anthony because it's poor. It comes to Reguilon instead, whose effort is wild, and it goes over the top of the crossbar. Another sort of lack of confidence being shown amongst the Manchester United forward line there, because Anthony gets into the right wing position, floats it through the 18-yard box. It's too heavy, his pass. His weight of pass is too heavy to Hannibal, and it runs past him, and it's then fallen to Reguilon on the edge of the penalty area, and he's just smacked it over the top.
But at least there's that hunger from some of the Manchester United players. Mount and Hannibal at least are looking to try and genuinely press, and that was good from Hannibal to win the ball back.
Manchester United now having to defend because Newcastle have come charging forward with the ball, and Longstaff taking a free kick quickly after Dummett was initially held back, and he's sent it down to Almiron, who's found Willock, who's gone in between two defenders. His cross loops up into the box, it falls on the edge of the area for Lewis Hall, who on the volley scores his first Newcastle United goal. It's a brilliant goal as well.
for the boyhood Newcastle fan who grew up in Slough dreaming of playing for Newcastle United. He scored a dream goal against Manchester United to put the visitors into a 2-0 lead, and the stony-faced look on the face of Erik ten Hag tells a million stories. Dejected and down, they trudge back to the halfway line. Newcastle United, with 8 changes, lead Manchester United at Old Trafford by 2-0.
And again, it's really, really poor defending from Manchester. They switch off from the free kick, but Longstaff's nice and bright, takes it quickly down the left-hand side, and it's Dalot again. He just switches off. He doesn't get genuine help from Casemiro. They both stand there watching each other as Willock just runs in behind Dalot. Eventually, it's a bit scrappy from Willock, who plays it in. Decent header from Maguire, but edge of the box. He just stands there, holds his composure and his pose, Hall, as he lets the volley drop onto his left foot, and he just arrows it towards the far corner. It just about misses Lindelof, which means Onana can't see it, and it's past him into that far corner.
A dream goal for Lewis Hall. It's his 15th senior appearance tonight and his first ever goal, and that one will live long in the memory. At the Stretford end, there's not many Newcastle supporters in Slough, but he was one, and as a result, Erik ten Hag is under the cosh. Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes watch on as Anthony tries to attack down the right-hand side. I've got to be honest, I'm not surprised by this. I'm surprised by the changes and the alteration in the Newcastle team being able to test this Manchester United team. I looked at the team sheet and I thought, well, Manchester United have to win this. But I'm not surprised. After 10-15 minutes, the atmosphere in here was poor. The tempo of the Manchester United play was poor. Their approach has got to be questioned again. And Newcastle have taken full advantage as the corner comes in from Mason Mount, right-hand side. Garnacho, back to Dalot, down the left. It's a poor ball, goes straight out of play. It's out for a goal kick. I mean, the Newcastle fans are taking the mick. They're having a party.
Yeah, they are, and you can just see the atmosphere turning inside Old Trafford. There have been some poor performances, but so far this has been pretty abysmal from this Manchester United side.
Bearing in mind what happened on Sunday.
Lack of confidence, lack of direction, players that aren't up to it. You know, there's a number of factors. I don't think it's just one issue, but they've got to find a way. I mean, I think if you're Ten Hag, I think you've got to be bold. I'd take Hannibal off. I'd bring on a McTominay in that midfield, an Amrabat, because it's too easy at the moment for Newcastle.
I didn't like the look of the midfield at the beginning. I don't like it now as Willock goes stealing forward once again, down into a wing position, finds Hall, who tries to shove it across. It's blocked by the defender, ex-Anthony, who's doing some tracking back actually, which is remarkable for a Manchester United winger. And the ball goes into midfield and eventually United clear, but Reguilon didn't know where to pass it, hesitated, and then Garnacho had to come back so he could feed him on halfway. Here's Mount, 5 minutes before half-time. Manchester United 0, Newcastle 2. Hannibal runs up towards the edge of the D, goes down after winning a header. He sort of came down with a thud, and again now we got the situation where the game is paused once more. Jason Tyndall's just gone over to Lewis Hall, gives him the thumbs up and a big fist pump. Joel Linton comes over to get a drink.
This is where Erik ten Hag should be out there now, pulling across Maguire, Lindelof, Casemiro.
What is he doing? Where is he? He's just sitting down.
And he should be saying to them, look, that midfield area has to get more balance.
But he's set it up like this all season. He set it up with one pivot, one slightly left, a 5-10 yard starting position in front of him, and one playing as a number 10 just slightly to the right hand side. It's been all season he's set it up like that, right? And it's almost just like a kinked straight line, just a little bit of a triangle.
Because when they have the ball, he likes Dalot to be the one that then drifts into that space.
But they don't have enough of the ball. But then when they lose it, they're so open.
Exactly.
It's so easy to cut through.
When they lose it, then they're so exposed down the left-hand side. I mean, Grealish and Bernardo Silva at the weekend just had so much space to operate in on that left-hand side.
We know what we need to do, says Erik ten Hag just prior to this game, and we're very eager to give a good performance and get to the next round. Okay. Well, it hasn't looked like it so far. And later on tonight, the sports bar will be open for business. 03717 2233 44. Here is Casemiro. He's missed his tackle. It's won by Anthony Gordon, and he's sent Matt Ritchie, who hasn't played all season, by the way, speeding away down the left-hand side. He leaves it to Willett. Willett cuts in on his right foot, bends it towards the far corner, but it's not in the corner enough, and it's easily picked up by Andre Onana, and he'll bowl it out towards the left-hand side. Hannibal back on after receiving treatment. It's a problem for Gordon, who's hobbling around on this near side. There's a goal in the game at Ipswich. Will be there in just a second, but here's Dallow, who's moving infield. He tried to push it forward, but Golden, who's still hobbling, got in his way, and as a result the deflection tamed the attempted crossfield ball, and it bobbled through to the edge of the penalty area where Dubravka could pick it up. Let's go off to the game down at Portman Road. Scott Minto is alongside Ian Danter.
Ipswich 0, Fulham 2, the second for the Premier League side coming from Rodrigo. 5 minutes after the restart, a quite superb ball across the face of goal from Andreas Pereira, and just quickly Scott Minto, Rodrigo just couldn't miss.
Absolutely great ball in, it really was, and Fulham were the better side in the first half. They started off well in the second. They're going to have to do what they did against Wolves, aren't they, Ipswich, in the last round?
But they've got far less time in which to do it. 51 gone, Ipswich 0, Fulham 2.
Back here it's Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2. Newcastle have made 8 changes to their starting lineup, and again Almiron's got space. He's played it down the left, and into the penalty area goes Anthony Gordon. Back to Almiron once more. It's collected by Gordon, and looks as if Fernandes is going to come on very shortly, or at least at half time for Manchester United. He's out there warming up away to our left hand side, and they need something. Can their captain help turn the tide? 2.5 minutes to go before half time. Is Erik ten Hag still there?
I think so. We can't see from our commentary position.
You would expect him to be on the sideline now, wouldn't you? Here is Casemiro winning the ball back in the right full-back position. Joe Linton, though, crunches into a tackle with Hannibal. He goes to Almiron on this near side, the left. Hannibal still causing problems, pushing Almiron in the back. That's a good idea, fella. You've only been booked and given a warning so far. Let's go off to Matt Jones. Is at Goodison Park?
It's Everton 2, Burnley 0. The Blues getting their second through Amadou Onana. A corner coming in from the right-hand side. Tarkowski nodded it down, and Onana stabbed it home from close range. Everton 2, Burnley 0.
Back here still 2-0 to Newcastle United. They've had more of the ball than Manchester United. They've made more passes than Manchester United. And they've got a better passing accuracy. They've had more passes into the opposition half. And they're crossing into the boxes better. It'll be interesting to see how many touches they've had in the opposition penalty area as well. And certainly you would have expected that to have been more than what Manchester United have been able to produce tonight on what so far has been a lethargic, a limp display. Changes at half-time?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. You've been given an opportunity, and, you know, so far, what have the forward line given you? Pretty much zero. What has your midfield given you in terms of structure? Pretty much zero. How can you not change it? You know, again, I wasn't joking about the Martial comment before the game. Dummett and Kraft have probably thought, what an easy night this is. This is brilliant.
Welcome back to top-level football. Well, sort of. 30 seconds to go before half-time. Newcastle leading by 2-0. United's defence now has conceded 25 goals in 14.5 games. There's something fundamentally wrong if Manchester United are conceding that many goals. Nearly 2 per game. I know they've had a lot of changes, a lot of alterations. Shaw and Malassi have been out for so long, then Reguilon was out, but to concede that many goals is scandalous. Here is Anthony, back to halfway. Then it's to Dallow. You know, the makeup of the midfield has not been right all season. The wingers have got to get back. And I think one of the things that he will say is that if he lines up that midfield the way it is now, where Casemiro seems to be on his own, you need the wingers to track back and help out in order to make up the numbers when the opponents break upon you. But if they don't do that, you're in serious trouble. And the problem is Manchester United's wingers don't usually do that. Here's Reguilon out towards the left. Martial, the centre forward, is 10 yards outside the box. It's played into Dallow, whose right-footed shot whistles past the post, and it goes out and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Probably the best effort that they've had since Casemiro's shot, which Dubravka saved after about 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was. Decent strike from Diogo Dallow. And that's probably what they want to work, Manchester United, is that space for Dalot to get into that position. But if you're Newcastle, you're pretty happy if your opposition right back's taking a shot from 30 yards out. You fancy your goalkeeper.
5 minutes of added time at the end of the first 45. Remember, if it's all square after 90 minutes, it will be a penalty shootout. I think Manchester United fans would probably bite your hand off at that at this stage. United's home form has been so poor. There's been no solace even here at Old Trafford, a fortress last season. They're looking to avoid a 5th defeat in 8 home games. That's just, it's pulling your hair out stuff, isn't it?
I mean, if we talk about the simplicity, the going right, strip it right back, is as a player, you have to be able to handle the pressure that Manchester United have got on right now, the pressure of this support base that are disgruntled, the way your team's playing. You've got to, it's down to you individually. Can you lift yourself when everyone's not got any confidence?
But it's not as if the fans have turned on the team. You know, they're not giving them a hard time.
No, but the silence is equally as hard to deal with.
Ball into the centre by Casemiro, who picks it up in the left side of the midfield and tries to swing it into the box. It's cleared away by Almiron. Taken down by Willock, he can't control it, goes out of play, and it's away for a throw-in to Manchester United, who trail here by 2-0. I mean, is there any suggestion that these Manchester United players know that if they continue to play like this, the manager will change? And they look like a team that are playing for the manager?
I've never felt that.
Here is Mason Mount shooting from distance, 25 yards from goal. It's weaving in the air and it's pushed away by Dubravka and out towards the corner flag.
Well, if you are going to have a player that shoots from distance, you'd probably fancy Mount. It was a brilliant strike that definitely swerved away from Dubravka. Had to watch it all the way onto his strong left hand. It's a great strike.
Here is Dalot with the kick in towards the near post on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away by Newcastle. Collected by Anthony and then back towards Mason Mount. Mount into Anthony, back to Mount again, edge of the penalty area, recycles it to Reguilon. It goes further wide and then picked up by Casemiro, whose effort is charged down by Willock and goes back towards the halfway line. Just in front of the centre circle is Hannibal. 3 minutes of the added time played here at Old Trafford under the lights in front of 73,000 in the Carabao Cup, which is quite some turnout. Casemiro sending it long, a flick on by, well, sort of a flick on, a looped header backwards by Martial. There was no one there to capitalise, and now Dallow's got a problem because Anthony Gordon is running at him. It's been played down the left channel. He's got Longstaff for company. It's Gordon down the left onto Longstaff. Longstaff, who's down by the corner flag now, sends it back to Almiron. Look how much space there are for Newcastle players on the edge of the penalty area. The red shirts have just regressed so much towards the edge of their box that they vacated the midfield area. Longstaff back into Hall and now across to Joel Linton.
I can't believe actually that Anthony Gordon let Dalot off 1v1. Why hasn't he gone at him?
Back to Lewis Hall once again. Gordon back to Hall and then all the way back to Dummett, and Newcastle United still seemingly in control. Ritchie, far side. The olays are coming out from the Newcastle fans because they're dominating the ball, they're pushing it around, it's easy for them. There's not a challenge, there's not an intensity, there's not a grit or determination about this Manchester United team. They look beaten already, and we've only played 49 minutes. We've nearly played the first half stoppage time. Newcastle are seemingly allowed to wander here, make 8 changes and ease to victory. Willock, who's got the beating of Dalot, and Dalot just about manages to stick out a foot and nudge it off him, and then the half-time whistle couldn't come quick enough. Boos from the Manchester United home crowd, and I'm not surprised. They've been pretty poor in that first 45 minutes. Almiron and Hall with the goals, a catalogue of errors for the first goal where Livramento sprinted down the right-hand side, skinned past the likes of Mount and skinned past Hannibal to feed Almiron, who put them 1-0 up. Terrific goal from Hall to make it 2-0, and Newcastle's away form may be of concern, but they don't get to come here very often. Manchester United heading for another home defeat. Dean Ashton.
I mean, everything that has been wrong about Manchester United in recent games, in recent performances, again has reared its ugly head. And there's no confidence, zero, in this group of players. The manager doesn't look like he's got the confidence to stand on that touchline in front of these supporters, which you've got to do. You've got to front it up as a man. He should have been in that technical area from the first goal that went in right until the end of the half, dictating to his team, trying to lift his team, because it's so obvious that there just isn't the direction and the confidence within this team. They're making elementary errors in possession. They are all over the place without the ball. They're leaving massive gaps for Newcastle, who have made all these changes and look like they haven't made one change. That was just an awful performance from Manchester United. But fair play to Newcastle. They've come here and been nice and bright.
Well, only one team United at half-time, and it's Newcastle, who lead by 2-0. Let's go off to Stamford Bridge. Alex Crook.
Chelsea 2, Blackburn 0. Raheem Sterling surely has booked Chelsea's place in the quarter-finals. Blackburn caught trying to play out from the edge of their own penalty area. Cole Palmer rolled the pass forward to Sterling, and it's a brilliant shot into the far corner from around about 14 yards. Chelsea 2, Blackburn 0.
Thank you very much. We'll go round the grounds in the Carabao Cup 4th round very shortly here on Talksport 2, and we'll bring you the half-time highlights.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League.
With Christmas coming up, no doubt Skull Shaver will be a fixture on many a list. So let's take a look now at the shaves of the season. First, there's the Pitbull Silver Pro. On his head, even though it's wet, he made it look easy. Next, the Pitbull Platinum Pro. And my word, he looks pleased he got his hands to that one. And the Skull Shaver Pitbull Gold Pro. It's a bestseller, heading for the top corner in the bathroom cabinet. With bundle discounts and special bonus gifts galore, shop the whole range now at skullshaver.co.uk.
Here's football legend Jamie Redknapp for new hands-free Skechers slip-ins footwear.
Imagine playing football against no defence or goalkeeper. How easy would that be? That's what it's like putting on my new hands-free Skechers slip-ins. There's nothing stopping my foot from just going in. I just step in and I'm done, with no bending down to touch my shoes. So how do Skechers slip-ins work? It's like they have an invisible built-in shoehorn, so my foot slides into place. Then the heel pillow technology keeps my foot comfy and secure.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store or skechers.co.uk.
You're looking forward to those cosy winter nights, but then you remember fuel bills. You need a Tado Smart Thermostat. Control heating from your phone and save on average 22% on energy consumption. Compatible with almost every boiler, we guarantee you'll save on fuel bills or your money back. Tado Smart Thermostats at Screwfix, Toolstation and City Plumbing, and Tado.com. If you're an installer, search Tado Professional to unlock rewards. Tado, your home, your comfort zone.
Chicken selects.
McNuggets.
Chicken selects.
McNuggets.
Chicken selects.
McNuggets.
Chicken selects.
McNuggets.
Hang on. Whether you're a McNuggets connoisseur or a Chicken Selects mega fan, come together with the McDonald's Chicken Combo for just $14.99. With 20 Chicken McNuggets, 10 Chicken Selects and 8 dips, there's something for every chicken lover. Order now in store and on McDelivery. Until 3rd of Jan 2024, from 11 a.m. Participating restaurants. Price may vary. Delivery price uplift and fees apply. Subject to availability.
Game day. The goals are calling.
This Saturday, exclusive kick-by-kick commentary of Fulham versus Manchester United.
Coverage from 11, kick-off 12:30 on Talksport. Fight Night Extra on Talksport 2. Tuesday evening from 5.
Get weighed in for a massive night of big boxing drama.
I'm just ready to go to war.
Explosive insight and heavyweight boxing banter.
I'm the generation fighter. I actually feel sorry for all these guys who's had to fight me.
Hard-hitting boxing discussion that jabs you between the ears.
Fantastic boxer. But this is a big step up in weight class. Really big step up.
Get in the ring and go the distance.
She's got movements that look like Mayweather at times.
Fight Night Extra, Tuesday evening from 5
on Talksport 2, the home of boxing.
The Playlist on Talksport 2. Top flight football conversation for the sporting nation.
You have to commit, you have to overcommit, you have to get a result. Your fans are going to get twitchy.
All the big name views, news and opinions that matter.
He's just on his case all the time. Every time he picked the ball up, he fouled him.
Pull up your socks, lace up your boots and get stuck in.
I think there is a discipline problem, but I also think there's an idiot's problem. 100%.
Get all the big fever pitch build-up all in one mammoth sporting session.
Massive results, those are.
The Playlist, Friday afternoon from 5 on Talksport 2.
On DAB+, online, via the Talksport app and on your smart speaker. The League Cup live on Talksport 2.
Two teams emerge from the tunnel away to our left in the corner of the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, running clear over the halfway line. He brushes past Hannibal, brushes past Mount. He's got Gordon down the right channel. He feeds Almiron inside the box. It's Almiron past the goalkeeper and in. And Newcastle United take the lead. Down to Almiron, who's found Willock, who's got in between two defenders. His cross loops up into the box. It falls on the edge of the area for Lewis Hall, who on the volley scores his first Newcastle United goal. It's a brilliant goal as well. The stony-faced look on the face of Erik ten Hag tells a million stories.
And you can just see the atmosphere turning inside Old Trafford. There have been some poor performances, but so far this has been pretty abysmal.
That's probably putting it mildly. We'll see what happens in the second half here as Manchester United have to fight back from 2 goals down to try and beat Newcastle United, who lead by 2-0. Terrific goal from Hall, by the way. Just seeing a replay of it again. And the ball loops up onto the edge of the penalty area after a header away by Maguire. And it's just hit with such panache on the edge of the box by the left foot of Lewis Hall. It goes between 2 defenders. Onana sees it late, and it's brilliantly into the far corner. And as a result, Newcastle lead by 2-0. West Ham look like they're heading through as well. Joe Shannon.
They're cruising, Sam. West Ham 3, Arsenal 0. 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining after the Ben White own goal in the first half. 2 further goals for West Ham in the second. Mohamed Kudus with a marvellous finish for the second goal early in the second period, curling the ball low into the bottom corner. And the third goal coming from Jared Bowen. Edge of the penalty area. Snapshot, took a deflection on it. Aaron Ramsdale, perhaps unsighted, got a big swipe on the ball, but could only succeed in diverting it into the back of the net. That may be one for Dean Ashton to have a look at perhaps at some point. Be interesting to hear his thoughts on that goal. Some will say Ramsdale should have done better. Some will say the deflection really didn't help the goalkeeper. Either way, Arsenal have been poor tonight, particularly in the second half. They've got all the big guns on now. Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard and Declan Rice, who arrived on the field to a mixed reception from the West Ham fans. Some boos, but plenty of applause as well. Really, though, since that third goal, it's felt like game over. And West Ham, who had such cup success in Europe, of course, last season, heading for the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup. It's West Ham 3, Arsenal 0.
Darwin Núñez has scored for Liverpool away at Bournemouth. They lead by 2-1. So we could have a quarter-final lineup which doesn't include Arsenal, doesn't include Manchester City, doesn't include Manchester United, but might include Chelsea, Alex Crook.
I think it will, Sam. Chelsea 2, Blackburn 0. Mauricio Pochettino has found home victories hard to come by. So too did Graham Potter and Frank Lampard last season. But they're winning this one fairly comfortably as Conor Gallagher bursts into the penalty area, smuggled away by the overworked Blackburn defence. They took the lead on the half-hour. Benoit Badiashile following up and side-footing in from 8 yards out after Wallstatt in the Blackburn goal. A flap to the cross-come shot from Gallagher, and Raheem Sterling on 59 minutes, doubling the lead with a brilliant finish into the far corner after Blackburn had been caught in possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Nicholas Jackson has blazed over from a Sterling cutback. Cole Palmer has had an effort deflected against the post. The reality is that Chelsea should be 4 or 5 up at the moment. 2 will be enough. We've got 19 minutes to play. It's Chelsea 2, Championship Blackburn 0.
Will 2 be enough for Newcastle United? We'll find out in the second half. What's happening down at Pullman Road? Ian Danter and Scott Minto.
It is Ipswich 0, Fulham 2. Goals early in the first half from Harry Wilson and early in the second from Rodrigo Muniz has put Fulham in control here. Ipswich can't really force the issue. They haven't really had a spell in the game where they've put the Fulham back four under pressure. It seems, Scott Minto, that the Premier League side are just keeping high-flying Ipswich at arm's length.
Yeah, Ipswich are not able to lay a glove on Fulham, really, the whole game. One half a chance. There was a mistake from Rodak in goal. Apart from that, I have to say the Fulham midfield have just controlled the tempo of this game, totally in charge here.
They are destined for the last 8 here, Marco Silva's men. So just over 20 minutes to go, Sam. Ipswich Town 0, Fulham 2.
And how are Everton getting on against Sean Dyche's former club, Matt Jones?
It's still Everton 2, Burnley 0. Everton are completely dominating this game, getting that second through Onana just after half-time. Burnley have had a bit more of the ball. Everton have allowed them to do so in this second half, but they've done nothing with it. They still haven't had a shot on target. In fact, they've only had 2 shots in the 73 minutes of this game so far, and both of them have been blocked. So Jordan Pickford's had nothing to do, and Everton are coasting through at the moment to the quarter-finals. It's Everton 2, Burnley 0.
Thank you very much. Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming up to warm up at half-time, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him and whether or not he replaces Dallow at the start of the second half. But episode 46 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver is out now on Talksport's Boxing YouTube channel. This week the boys reflect on all the drama and controversy surrounding Tyson Fury's split decision victory over Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia.
Frank wanted to be old on you, got quite cross with me.
Yeah.
Stop peddling that narrative.
Yeah.
It was a competitive fight. I said, OK, I'll repackage the narrative right then. This is arguably the greatest heavyweight of our generation, right? Potentially being beaten by a 37-year-old that hasn't fought for 2 years with a bad knee that's been rebuilt in a discipline that he's never fought in before, making his debut on the world stage. Is that a better narrative for you, Frank? And Frank's like, that's not a good narrative either.
Yeah, we could be talking about now, and we very well could be talking about right now, is that we've just witnessed the biggest upset in boxing history with what happened there. It's just that the scores didn't go Ngannou's way. But that's the conversation that we should be really having in my eyes.
Do you smell anything? Does it smell of anything? Does it smell of anything? I'm asking you, because I'm not going to make these observations anymore, because I'm so frightened of being banned.
There is Simon Jordan in great form, as always, especially when it comes to boxing. The latest episode of Talk Boxing is in full, available over on Talksport Boxing YouTube channel now. And make sure that you hit subscribe when you get over there, and the notification bell, so you never miss any big name interviews, debates and exclusive shows. And tomorrow, the boys Jim and Simon back together again, and they'll do their hour of boxing from midday as well. I'm in with Simon on Friday, actually. Simon and Dara McAntony. That's my Friday morning.
Brilliant.
That's got spicy written all over it. 10 till 1, that's Friday morning. Big weekend of football live on TalkSport as well. We've got Championship action on Friday night. On Saturday, Fulham against Manchester United is live. Now, if Manchester United were to lose here tonight and then go to Fulham on Saturday, how much pressure is going to be on the shoulders of the Manchester United manager by the time we turn up at Craven Cottage on Saturday?
Oh, a huge amount. Absolute huge amount. And it's about the performances. It's about what you see with your own eyes. And anyone that's watching the game, listening to us on the radio, describe just how bad this has been. It has. It's been absolutely disgraceful. It just has. It's just been such a...
I sat here on Sunday, and I was with Alex Crook and Mickey Gray, and everyone was just perplexed about that second half performance. Guys, come on, you need to show a little bit more than this. There was frustration in the air, there was a little bit of anger in the air. We analysed to the nth degree where they went wrong. We knew as soon as we saw the team sheet, look, it's going to be difficult for you because of the team that he's picked. But the approach tonight has been off from the start, and I don't know what that says about the culture of the football club and what Erik ten Hag has or has not done in his time in charge.
Yeah, I just think as well, I just can't believe that players at this level can be that weak mentally. I can't get my head around it, how you can not be able to lift yourself for a game, you know, playing for Manchester United. You talk about confidence, but I'm sorry, at this level you cannot put a performance like that in where it looks like you're absolutely frightened to death of having the ball, of doing something with the ball. It's really, really odd to watch such lack of confidence.
Well, Sofian Amrabat is going to come on, so is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so 2 changes. And even though Bruno Fernandes was sent up to warm up on the touchline at the start, so the end of the first half, he's not going to come out at the start of the second half. Amrabat and Wan-Bissaka are the 2 substitutions. Dalot is going off for Wan-Bissaka. Just trying to work out who the other change is. Hannibal, I think. No, he's still out there. Not necessarily sure that's prudent. Is it Casemiro who's come off? It is.
2 players that were booked. No, sorry, Hannibal was booked.
Yeah, Casemiro for Amrabat, yeah. So Casemiro is off, Amrabat is on, and the other change is at right back with Diego Dalot is replaced by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Is that enough?
I think he's trying to fix how they look when they lose the ball, which is on that left-hand side, which is Casemiro running across into that position to try and help Dalot.
Well, they've got 45 minutes, Manchester United, to try and rescue this Carabao Cup tie. They are the holders of the Carabao Cup. They'll be going out unless they can find 2 goals and drag it to a penalty shootout. If they're lucky to get 1 goal, they might think about getting 2 or 3 and try and win it. But at this moment in time, just trying to get hold of the ball and looking a little bit more like a football team would be helpful. And the changes we've told you about mean that Manchester United have Onana in goal, a back 4 of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Reguilon. Hannibal, Mount and Amrabat in midfield. Garnacho and Anthony flanking Martial up top. Newcastle have Livramento at right back, Kraft, Dummett and Lewis Hall the back 4. Willock, Longstaff and Joe Linton. Richie, Gordon and Almiron up top. Here's Amrabat being hassled by Joe Willock, and Joe Willock gets a yellow card for dragging him down.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy decision for Robert Jones. If he'd already booked the 2 Manchester United players for similar sort of challenges, he was going to have to book Willock.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little bit of Joe Willock saying, welcome to the game, Sofian.
Possibly. I don't think so. I think it was a bit silly, actually, from Willock.
Whoever they get tonight, you'll find out live on Talksport at 10:45. The draw will take place at 10:45 this evening, the quarter-final draw. It looks like Newcastle are going to be in it at this moment in time. Hall heads the ball away, left-hand side. Tries to nudge it up into midfield. Almiron flicks it on. It's won by Amrabat. Then Hannibal tries to steer it out towards the far side. Can he survive 45 minutes of football, or is his indiscipline going to haunt him once again? The ball is with Anthony, then back to Hannibal. He turns it back in field to Amrabat. Remember, he got himself in trouble in a game where he played at Anfield for going around kicking people, Hannibal. And wasn't seen off for quite some time after that. Reguilon running square, left to right. Back to Mason Mount, who's in possession of the ball. Plays it wider onto Garnacho. Garnacho teases it down the left touchline, cuts infield, gives it to Amrabat. Mount's got it now, floated to the box. It's into the body of Martial, was never going to be able to take that in. And it's half cleared by Newcastle. All of a sudden, Manchester United just got them inside their own half, and then as the ball goes back towards halfway, Maguire was going to turn and play it back, and then he sensed the reaction of the crowd, so he kept moving it forward. Anthony breaks down the right-hand side into the edge of the penalty area. Hannibal tries to turn back to Wan-Bissaka. Anthony, Wan-Bissaka, can he get the cross in? He goes into the near post. It's on from Martial, and he steers it goalwards. It goes out for a corner.
Yeah, good play by Hannibal, Anthony, and definitely Wan-Bissaka, and there was no way he was going to let that go out, was it? With his reaching right leg, Wan-Bissaka. Martial trying to flick it in at the near post. Good block though.
Wan-Bissaka with those pipe cleaner lens, winning a corner kick which is sent in towards the penalty spot by Mason Mount, headed away, comes back out to Mount, right edge of the area. His cross in towards the near post is probably clear by Joel Linton on the edge of the 6-yard box, and then Anthony Gordon tries to run it up towards the halfway line, but Anthony does well, wins the ball back, then gets crunched, and it is a free kick on the halfway line. So we'll go off to Portman Road and Talksport's Ian Danta.
Couple of goals here, Sam. Ipswich 1, Fulham 3. Fulham went 3-0 up. Lovely finish from Tom Kearney. Really cultured finish with his left foot at the edge of the area from Decordova Reed's pass. But Ipswich just forced a corner, sent to the far post, and from a standing start, Elkan Baggott headed home to give Ipswich fans just a little bit of hope. But time running out, 11 to play, Ipswich 1, Fulham 3.
Full time at the London Stadium. Joe Shannon.
West Ham 3, Arsenal 1. White's own goal in the first half. Kudus with a marvellous second, added to by Bowen's deflected strike beyond Ramsdale. Ødegaard with an injury time consolation for a poor Arsenal. West Ham excellent. West Ham 3, Arsenal 1.
We'll continue to give you the goals as they go in from up and down the country. Remember, commentary form of Liverpool into the closing stages over on Talksport, with Liverpool leading by 2-1. There was a foul over on the far side. The ball ran into midfield. Hannibal was taken from behind by Joel Linton. Why wasn't he booked? The United fans on the far side were expecting a yellow card.
No, I'm not sure it was, though. He was trying to win the ball, Joel Linton. Hannibal was just too energetic for him. Turns around, tries to lift this Manchester United crowd. They haven't been that much better, have they, in the second half? The energy's just been way better. The intensity's been way better. It's the minimum that's required. Mount to take the free kick. Over on the far side, the United right. It's a deep one to the far post. It comes towards Garnacho. He saw it late and didn't react in time. He's kept it in just about on this near side. Wan-Bissaka back out to Reguilon. Reguilon to deliver from the left-hand side. It's deep. It'll be won by Anthony, who's at the far post on his own. He's inside the area, tries to chop back in on his left foot. Again, it needed to come in just that little bit earlier. As soon as he got that, get it out of your feet, get it back into the danger zone. Smuggled away by Newcastle. Much better, though, for Manchester United.
Could have got much worse, though.
No, it couldn't. But I just mean in terms of, when a second ball drops, are you first to react? Are you competitive in the duels? And at least they have been in this second half so far.
2-0 behind. There's still some ground to make up if they're going to get anything out of this. 50 minutes on the clock. Maguire out to Wan-Bissaka. Amrabat. Then back to Maguire once again. United moving forward, the ball out towards the left-hand side. Reguilon tries to slide it in behind the Newcastle defence. It's cut out by Kraft and then picked up by Joel Linton, who teases the ball out towards the left-hand side, but Willock's going to get the knockdown as Maguire won the first initial ball and headed it clear, and he couldn't hold on to it. And Andre Onana is trying to call his team up the pitch.
Do you know what they've struggled with is Willock's energy and pace that he's had from that midfield area. When anything drops, he is latching onto it with that long stride of his. It's lucky that Amrabat was just about goal side and it was a poor touch from Willock.
Martial up to Garnacho. He can't control it. It's not the first time that's happened to him tonight. Longstaff trying to escape. Livramento in the end smacks it out on this near side, and it's away for a throw-in halfway inside opposition territory. You mentioned about Willock and his position. He's sort of not a number 10. He's more of an advanced 8, getting into the box whenever he can. Is that the sort of energy, the sort of positioning that you were expecting Mason Mount to take up in the Manchester United team?
Yes, but I don't think he's got the pace that Willock has got, or the power physically. I think Mount is more a get him space in and around the area kind of player that can create and manipulate the ball. I think that's where Mount is at his very, very best. Not striding on, maybe making late runs into the penalty area, Mason Mount, whereas Willock can cover the ground so quickly, so effectively from that midfield area.
Just looking around to see who's got the captain's armband on now for Manchester United. I think it's Victor Lindelof.
It is.
Here he is, playing the ball back in field to Amrabat. Collected by Maguire. Maguire takes the ball out of the fence, gives it to Lindelof under a bit of pressure from Anthony Gordon. Lindelof gives it back to Onana, and then Onana will look to try and feed the Swede. He takes a couple of steps forward. 53 on the clock. 2-0 to Newcastle. Here is Amrabat through the centre circle, finding Anthony. Anthony's come in field, then lifts the ball out wide towards the left. Garnacho taking on Livramento. Looks to go on the outside. Mount has gone beyond him, got to the byline, stood up across into the centre. It's gone behind two United players and scooted through to Wan-Bissaka. Amrabat trying to curl one over the top of the crossbar and into the Stretford end.
Again, quicker play from Manchester United, nicely out wide to Alejandro Garnacho. Brilliant overlap from Mason Mount. That's where he is much better, when he gets in and around the penalty area. Lovely little run, lovely little clip delivery. Not enough red shirts in the box for me for that ball played in.
But when it comes out to Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't really want it. Amrabat doesn't either, to be honest. That was a bit of a mess.
Newcastle haven't won here for 10 years. The last Newcastle player to score a winning goal at Old Trafford was Yohan Cabaye. Even in the post-Fergie era, Newcastle have struggled at this stadium. And they have never won this trophy. They haven't won a trophy since 1955. But Manchester United are under the cosh. And Newcastle at the moment are looking as if they're going to get a victory here, a rare one, unless Manchester United can find a way back into the game. Hannibal allows it to go behind him. Mount wins it back, edge of the D, plays it into Hannibal. There's a foul on him, and there's going to be... Oh, is that an offside flag? It is. Offside flag is already up against Martial for an earlier part of the move when he came back from an offside position to get involved in the play.
So frustrating. So frustrating for your teammates and your manager, that from Martial. Just got to make sure he wasn't looking across the line, to be honest. I mean, he's only a fraction, but frustrating still.
Ball clipped forward by Dubravka. Into the air it goes. Reguilon tries to get the better of Anthony Gordon, who's a bit of a nuisance, has a kick out of him. Referee says play on because United have got the advantage, and then Hannibal gives the ball away. So the advantage very quickly dissipates. He then tries to win the ball rather clumsily from Joel Linton, but manages to get away with it, and then goes in and commits a foul on Longstaff. Referee, being generous, allows play on. Here is Amrabat. Out towards the far side. Anthony combining well with Martial. Hannibal's got free in the centre. They've just checked back here, Manchester United, and Anthony's come in, Phil, as he always does. Left-footed, drives the ball goalwards, but it's well over the top.
Very ambitious, wasn't it, from Anthony? Again, the initial play's great, and this is, again, where he needs to be coached better in terms of that decision-making.
What's he got to do there?
He's already beaten his man. He's done brilliantly with the first touch. He's beaten his man, got on the outside, and then he slows down to allow Hall back in because he's desperate to come onto his left foot.
Yeah.
Whereas really he needs to drive again and then just cut that back. It doesn't even have to be a whipped ball. It just needs to be a nice cut back with his weak foot for one of your forwards to run onto.
When you say weak foot, when you're worth £80 million, should you have a weak foot or just one that's better than the other?
Well, I'd want 40 million back if you can't.
2-0 to Newcastle United. You're listening to Talksport 2. Here is Martial. Back to Wan-Bissaka. Just right of the centre circle is Amrabat. He plays it square to the captain Lindelof, who strides over halfway, plays it to Garnacho. Garnacho going on the outside of Tino Livramento. He moves down towards the byline, produces a cross, is blocked by Livramento. Does really well, actually, Livramento, to get back and produce that challenge. Goes out for a corner.
Yeah, it was brilliant from Garnacho. Livramento stuck to it, didn't he? He's got good pace, actually, Livramento.
Oh, he's rapid.
But Garnacho, I love the way he keeps dabbing the ball, even at such pace. Just as if he is gonna stop, just dabs the top of the ball and then he drives again. Really like that part of his game.
Garnacho hobbling as a result of the collision between the two as Reguilon prepares to take the corner from the near side the left in front of the Stretford end. Stretford end trying to raise the tempo as the ball goes in towards the middle of the 6-yard box, headed away by Joel Linton. Prodded forward by Wan-Bissaka, who we're seeing him for the first time since his hamstring injury, which he picked up away in the Brighton game. And it goes out for a throw-in the right full-back position. Rasmus Højlund is warming up now, so is Marcus Rashford. Bruno Fernandes away to our left-hand side. Let me give you some scorelines from elsewhere tonight, because games coming to their conclusion in the not-too-distant future. Liverpool on the verge of victory. They're into stoppage time. They lead Bournemouth by 2-1 over on Talksport. Chelsea 2-0 up against Blackburn. Everton 2-0 up against Burnley. Fulham 3-1 up against Ipswich. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic have come from behind to lead St Mirren 2-1. Hearts are 1 up, Aberdeen 4 up, St Johnstone 2-1 up, and Rangers in a much delayed game at Dens Park, a 1-0 up. That game was delayed after a pyrotechnics explosion in the Rangers' end set off all the fire alarms. Here is Amrabat out towards the right, collected by Hannibal, and then infield to Amrabat once again. On the attack Manchester United. Hannibal switches the ball from right to left. The pinpoint ball out to Garnacho, takes it on well. Can't beat Livramento at the first attempt. Comes back towards Reguilon, who's joining the attack. Centres it. Finds Mount. Mount tries to take on Longstaff. Goes one way then the other. Then plays it infield to Hannibal. Wanted the return, didn't get the return. Mount, frustration. Garnacho into the box with a cross, which eludes Martial. Bounces over his head and then didn't reach Anthony.
Brilliant from Garnacho. Great ball in. Anthony Martial just got underneath it. But I tell you what, another part of his game he needs to work on. Anthony being alive at that back post. You are part of the forward line. You're a striker when that ball is wide. Get yourself and make sure you're ahead of your fullback diving in towards that back post. He reacted once the ball was in the air, and that's too late.
A last-minute goal for Jack Marriott means it's Fleetwood 3, Blackpool 3 in League One on a dramatic night. Dubravka taking his time over the goal kick. It was an accusation that was levelled at Newcastle by Erik ten Hag last season, which upset Eddie Howe. Generated a few headlines as a result. They've turned the ball over though, high up the pitch, Newcastle, and Willock is powering run to the edge of the penalty area. Oh, right-footed shot past the goalkeeper, and it's Curtin for Manchester United now. They're going to be knocked out by Newcastle. An individual goal by Joe Willock. 25 yards out, he picked the ball up, he charged through towards the edge of the D. He unleashed a rocket which beat Andre Onana into the near corner. And Newcastle United 7,000 travelling fans are going balmy because the Toon Army are going into the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup and the holders are going out.
I mean, this is just an absolute gift. But I tell you what, has he enjoyed that gift? Willock. It's a poor ball from Amrabat. Willock's nice and alive to it, intercepts, drives forward with that pace that I talked about, beyond Mason Mount. And the finish, I've got to say, the finish is absolute class. He just drives forward, opens his body up as if he's going to strike it with his laces, and then just side foots it crisp, clean, along the floor. Onana's got no chance, it's past him. It's got so much pace on it, considering it's his inside of his foot.
But that Manchester United defence has parted like the Red Sea as soon as he started to run at them, Dean. How is that happening?
I mean, look, Anthony Gordon's run is excellent, as he should do, trying to make space. But if you back away, and this is what this Manchester United team does, it backs away because it's scared of pace, and it just opens up the space for him. But I've got to say, the finish is so good. It's a cowardly performance, this, from Manchester United. 62 minutes on the clock. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 3. And limply they're going out of the Carabao Cup, the cup that they held aloft, the first trophy in what was supposed to be a new era. How long that era lasts now will be up for debate, I think. They're going to lose their 8th game in their first 15 for the first time since 1972. And that is some charge sheet to be levelled at Erik ten Hag and this crop of Manchester United players. You would have thought that they were united in their disappointment of their Derby Day performance, but it's going to get even worse now for Manchester United. They're going to bring on Callum Wilson and Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, it's not good, is it? I'm glad you said Manchester United players after crop, Sam.
You can hear it. I think that's just the Newcastle supporters, although it seems more voluminous than the last time. On comes Fernandes and Rasmus Højlund. Erik ten Hag finally has walked into the technical area. On comes Wilson and Bruno Guimaraes. Anthony Gordon's coming off for the away team, knowing that his job is done. They can't really afford to risk anybody, and he's hobbled a little bit. He gives applause to the supporters who have travelled so far. I said to you earlier on, imagine selling 7,000 tickets to your supporters and then turning up and fielding a back five of fullbacks. What an idiot I was. They've had a very good night.
I think we could have a back three of me, you and our producer Sal, and they'd still turn up.
That's what these Newcastle fans do. They are incredible.
The worrying thing is we could have played a back three of me, you and Sal, and Manchester United wouldn't have done. Off comes Anthony Martial, on comes Højlund. It's not going to be a quick fix, this, I'm afraid, for Manchester United. And it's disappointing because I think a lot of us felt, and I was one of them, listen, I got sucked into it last year. I thought they did very well. He'd made them better than they actually were. They were achieving things that I thought they probably didn't deserve to achieve, if that makes any sense, in that they were coming back in games, late on in matches. I remember the West Ham game here, you know, they were 1-0 down going late into the match, and then they turned it round with 2 goals. They had a sort of almost a belief that they could never be beaten at one stage in this stadium.
I mean, look,
but that's all gone now.
It has, but we do have to say that the whole defence has been, you know, decimated with injuries. It has. It's not Erik ten Hag's first choice, and he had that for a lot of the season last season, and it was a very, very decent back four. And not only that, you know, Luke Shaw's been missing, and I think that is, I hate to say it, but that's the reason Rashford isn't anywhere near as good, is Luke Shaw.
That's okay, but that's not the only reason Manchester United are on the verge of an 8th defeat in 15 games, surely.
No, but there's still got to be a little bit of context in terms of the injuries that they've had.
Maguire nudges it forward, out towards the left, and Reguilon. He runs up towards the edge of the penalty area. He's got Rashford in company now. He plays it behind towards Rasmus Højlund, who's looking to turn. It's smuggled to the edge of the penalty area. There's 65 minutes on the clock. It's 3-0 to Newcastle United. It has finished in the game at Stamford Bridge. Here's a very upset Alex Crook.
And it's finished. Chelsea 2, Blackburn 0. Chelsea picking up only their 4th home win since March. Badiashile opened the scoring on the half hour after a mistake from the Blackburn goalkeeper. Raheem Sterling sealed the points with a brilliant finish into the top corner. 14 minutes into the second half. Chelsea 2, Blackburn 0.
Wait for the podcast tomorrow morning. It'll be out around about lunchtime. We're recording it at 9:30. So just let him go.
Have you recorded this for his leisure tomorrow?
No. Mate, I can't wait to get his take on it. That's all I'll say. Matt Jones has got full time at Goodison.
Everton 3, Burnley 0. A comfortable win for Everton, opening the scoring in the first half through Tarkowski, and goals added in the second half from Onana and Young. Burnley didn't have a shot on target until the 95th minute. They offered nothing going forward. Everton through to the quarters. Everton 3, Burnley 0.
Well, Everton through to the quarterfinals. Chelsea and Liverpool through to the quarterfinals as well. West Ham United also through to the quarterfinals, and Newcastle heading there. Reguilon sends a cross into the box. It hits Rashford's arm, does it? It's half cleared by Livramento, smacked up over halfway. They've been a lot more compact in this second half. That effort from Joel Willock was their first effort at all in any guise in the second half, Dean Ashton.
Oh, look, they've been clinical. You know, they've scored 3 goals with their 4 attempts on target this evening. You know, the finishing's been excellent, but it's been too easy to get into the positions to have those finishes.
Rashford trying to travel forward down the left-hand side. You're listening to Talksport 2. And Manchester United going out of the competition. And I think even for some, victory would have been papering over the cracks. You just worry how Manchester United get out of this situation. Varane was available at the weekend, by the way. They chose not to use him. Shaw has still got some way to come back. Lisandro Martinez is the only left-footed centre-back at the club, which has caused them an issue. They have had issues with Casemiro's had an ankle problem. Wan-Bissaka's only just come up from a hamstring injury. So there are injury issues. But they've also spent a hell of a lot of money on attacking talent, which hasn't quite delivered yet. Rasmus Højlund's got 3 goals. He hasn't got one in the Premier League just yet. He was always going to be a work in progress. Mason Mount hasn't found his feet, even though he's been injured. When he has been utilised, they haven't found the right position for him. Sofyan Amrabat was a destructive player at the World Cup, playing in a defensive side. Coming to a more progressive side, or a side that's supposed to dominate the ball, he's found it more difficult, hasn't he?
He has. Anything else?
Well, it does beg the question, you know, why did you recruit all of these players and not really have a plan of how to use them?
Yeah, that is purely
without a doubt on the manager. I thought Amrabat would be an excellent signing, but I saw him more as a destroyer alongside Casemiro, a bit of protection that would give genuine energy rather than a playmaking holding midfielder. And I guess we're yet to really see those two in a partnership for a number of games.
Bruno Guimaraes gets the ball back towards the edge of his own penalty area. Amrabat gets on it now. Lindelof over halfway, chucking it forward. Flicked by Fernandes to Mount, and it's over the top of the crossbar. He leant back as he struck it, and it goes well over the top of the bar. I mean, fans growing up now, they don't think about the glory of the 90s and the 2000s unless they've been watching it on DVDs, if they still got DVD players to watch them on. Yeah, they're growing up thinking that this is a club that routinely fail. Change manager every 2 years, occasionally win a cup, and look wistfully at their mum and dad as if to say, well, when you sold me the idea of supporting this club, it wasn't supposed to be like this.
But that's what comes with a pressure of a club this size. You know, there's a reason why the club is as big as it is, because of its history, because of the success it's had. And they've got to try and get it right in all aspects, and we're talking right from the top at Manchester United.
Well, is Erik ten Hag the man to continue to do that? That will be the question that is asked after yet another home failure, another home humiliation. It's happened far too often this season. Here is Harry Maguire, just right of the centre circle, progressing forward, chipping it up towards the left-hand side now. And the Carabao Cup quarter-finals are just before Christmas. Liverpool, Chelsea, Everton, Fulham, West Ham, Middlesbrough, Port Vale and Newcastle. At this moment in time, it looks like Newcastle will all be involved in them. The 18th of December, the week commencing, and that runs us into a rather impressive Christmas campaign of football. We've got quite a lot for you over the Christmas period. 23rd, we're at Luton Town, or was it West Ham we're on that day? We're at West Ham, I think, that day. And then on Boxing Day, we've got the Boxing Day fixtures, we've got all of them available to you on the Talksport app. And I think I'll be here. Boxing Day looks particularly impressive. We start at Newcastle on Talksport. Bournemouth, Fulham, Sheffield United, Luton, Burnley, Liverpool is at 5:30 on Talksport. I'll be at Manchester United versus Aston Villa that day as well. Then we've got Brentford the next day against Wolves, Chelsea, Palace and Everton, Manchester City, all the following day, all live and free on Talksport and the Talksport app. Make sure you get it. Ball sent over the top by Maguire, aimlessly so, and it's out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. I mean, Ten Hag enjoyed a good first season, but he's been like a startled cat in recent weeks, constrained by an inability to react. As soon as that second goal went in, should he have made bold changes then? Or should he have made bolder changes at half-time?
Yes, I mean, to everyone inside this stadium, it was obvious that it clearly wasn't working. They were so exposed. And that's where a strong manager makes big decisions, and you don't care about how it really affects the players. You've got to try and affect the game.
Can you pass this off? It's only the Carabao Cup. Is that a legitimate response at this stage? Or
no, it's not. No, because everyone's eyes and ears would have been on this game because of the magnitude of the club and because of the performances, including that one at the weekend.
Been another catalogue of errors. Anthony sends the ball towards Rashford at the far post. He tries to tee up Højlund in the centre. Kraft manages to help it away. I mean, when you're up against a centre-back pairing of Emil Kraft and Paul Dummett, between the two of them before tonight, they've played twice since February 2022. That is quite startling that they haven't been able to break them down. Here comes Bruno Fernandes trying to do just that, in behind, and he scuffs his shot.
Yeah, ball played out by Lindelof, who's having more of an influence from the back line, starting to spread the play. Good ball, slipped ball from Anthony in towards Bruno Fernandes. And that's a really poor finish. He goes to pull it across
Dubravka as that comes across his right-hand side to hit it first time, and he just basically skims it off the outside of his foot, and it goes hopelessly wide.
It's ended Ipswich 1, Fulham 3 at Portman Road. So Fulham through to the next round of the competition. Changes here, and off comes Matt Ritchie and Lewis Hall, and on comes Dan Burn and Kieran Trippier for the final 17 minutes of the game.
I guess that is the benefit of making those changes at the start of the game, and if you're in a comfortable position, the quality then you can bring on from the bench to see this game out.
So you can put Tino Livramento further up the pitch now, can't you, and get him on the other side of the ball and use him as an out ball to drag you away from your own penalty area, because he's got rapid speed. I think they'll do that. But it's Manchester United on who the spotlight is falling. Cleared by goalkeeper Dubravka upfield. Wilson flicks the ball on. It's away by Maguire and up through the middle of the pitch. And we welcome listeners from Talksport, where it's Old Trafford, our venue now. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 3. And Almiron is in between Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. He's left it for Wilson, who tries to crack a shot. It's blocked by Wan-Bissaka, spills into the air and goes behind for another corner. It's been a game which has been littered with Manchester United errors. The goals coming from Almiron and Hall in the first half, and Willock in the second. 3-0 the score to Newcastle United, and it does not flatter Eddie Howe's team. Dean Ashton.
No, not at all. It's been an abysmal performance from Manchester United, and every time Newcastle have got it, even with the changes that they've made, they look dangerous on the break. Manchester United lose the ball. They've got gaps all over their defence. Newcastle have made them pay 3 times, and Wilson almost did there. It was a lovely cutback from Almiron for Wilson.
Trippier's corner in towards the near post. It's headed away by Rasmus Højlund as a second half substitute. Comes out as far as Longstaff, who captained the team tonight, and smacks the ball goalwards, and it's only narrowly wide of the right hand upright. Well, we've seen some goals tonight. The hit from Willock, the volley from Lewis Hall from the edge of the area. That might have been the pick of the bunch had it had gone in the far corner, and it so nearly did.
What a strike that was for a captain for the night as well. Longstaff, it was like frozen rope. It just didn't move. Just past the post by probably a millimetre. It was gorgeous in the air.
It was well struck. Well, Manchester United have given away another free kick on this near side, and then the ball's been kicked away. It's going to be a yellow card for Reguilon, and he's getting increasingly upset. We've had a little bit of indiscipline in the Manchester United ranks. Early in the game, Casemiro, as the captain, was booked. So was Hannibal Mejbri. He's not going to book him for a second time here, is he? He's gone over to Lindelof, Rob Jones, because he thinks he's still the captain. Actually, Bruno Fernandes has got the armband on now, and he's told Lindelof to tell Reguilon to calm down, otherwise he's going to get a second yellow card.
We keep seeing this, don't we, though? Reaction from Manchester United players, silly reactions, childish reactions. So that's just, it's ridiculous from Reguilon. You've got to have more about you as a person to handle this.
Newcastle haven't won here for 10 years, but they're knocking out the holders. Revenge for the final, possibly, or just another mediocre Manchester United display. Might not even be that good. Ball headed forward towards Wilson inside the area, and it's a header goalwards, charging in at the left-hand edge of the box by Kraft, who almost caught out the goalkeeper. It's half cleared by Manchester United, then given straight back to Newcastle. Away by Lindelof to the halfway line. One again on the edge of the centre circle by Paul Dummett. Yeah, you're not hearing things, by the way. Newcastle United fielded a back four, which started with a centre-back pairing and will finish with a centre-back pairing of Paul Dummett and Emil Kraft. They've hardly played a game for 18 months between the two of them, and yet Manchester United can't score past them.
No, they've seen off Martial. They've sent him to get his jacket on. And so far, Manchester United haven't had a shot, actually, since Rashford, Højlund and Fernandes have come onto the pitch.
Emil Kraft nearly scored at one end. The other end from where he's been operating for most of the night. 78 minutes on the clock, and Newcastle leading by 3-0. And that's going to be a foul on Guimaraes by Amrabat. He gets a yellow card.
That was lovely from Guimaraes. Just saw Amrabat coming, opened his body up, let it come across, and then just peeled away.
from the Moroccan. Manchester United have had 3 captains tonight. The latest is Bruno Fernandes. Here is Emil Kraft moving up towards the halfway line, plays it out towards the right hand side. Casemiro and Lindelof, the other two, by the way. Here is Bruno Guimaraes being chased by Amrabat, having a little kick out at him. He's giving away a free kick. Got to be careful now himself, the Moroccan, who was dragged off at half-time in the previous 2 games, brought on at half-time in this particular match. Newcastle have lost only 1 of the last 10 in rare form, but coming here with 8 changes, I don't think they thought it was going to be as easy as this. They had to weather a little bit of storm at the start of the second half, didn't they? But pretty much they've been in control of the game.
Well, in terms of something that the manager, Erik ten Hag, must have said at half-time, brought the players out with a little bit more energy. Still no real idea, but energy at least.
Livramento down the right-hand side for Newcastle, gets a cross on the volley, which is going to go behind, I think, for a goal kick. Indeed it is. And it goes out behind into the scoreboard end, where there are 7,000 Newcastle supporters away to our right that have made the journey. And I don't think many of them were making the trip thinking that if they made as many changes as they did tonight, which is always inevitable because of their injury crisis and their commitments in the Champions League and in the Premier League. They play Arsenal at the weekend, then Dortmund away, that they were getting too much from this game. But after taking the lead, they powered into a 2-goal lead, and from then on in, it's been pretty comfortable for them. They've started with a makeshift back 4, lost a player inside the first 2 minutes, recovered from that. They've brought on some of the bigger hitters towards the end of the game because they know that they've got the job done and no one's at real risk here. Joel Linton's just gone down inside the Manchester United half of the field away to our left-hand side, so there will be a brief delay here. But Eddie Howe deserves a bit of credit, really, because both these 2 teams are juggling a lot of fixtures, aren't they?
They are, but even he wouldn't have expected it to be this easy. He wouldn't have. He'd have known that there was a crisis of confidence here at this football club. He would not have known that it would have been as easy as it has been for this patched up, put together Newcastle side who've just looked comfortable.
The worrying thing is that so many of these Newcastle players have hardly played this season, but yet they've performed like a homogenous group. Manchester United are anything but. But there's always someone worse off than you. Bayern Munich have been knocked out of the DFB Pokal by 3rd division club Saarbrücken. Harry Kane was on the bench, didn't come on. And Newcastle have given away a free kick over on the far side. Joel Linton, who's probably a little bit lucky that he hadn't been booked up until now, has just been issued with a yellow card.
Yeah, but they're going to. You know, these Newcastle midfielders are going to pick up yellow cards because of how aggressive they are in the way they press. But they do it in unity. They do it in an order. They do it in a way that you can tell it's been coached into them.
Ball sent in by Fernandes. It was a dreadful free kick. Erik ten Hag is out of his technical area. He's been pulled back in by the 4th official, James Bell, towards the edge of the box. And he's hardly been seen all night, Erik ten Hag. It's only in the second half that he's made an appearance. By then the game's already been lost. Here's Amrabat, edge of the Newcastle area, back to Fernandes, who's shot from a ridiculous angle out on the right-hand side. Another token gesture, and the Newcastle fans start to sing their anthem, which has been ringing out since around about the 29th minute, which is to Erik ten Hag, you're getting sacked in the morning. And it will be their 8th defeat in 15 games. The last time they did that was 1972, a run which culminated in the sacking of Frank O'Farrell. Goal kick to Newcastle, despite the attack from Mason Mount down that left-hand side. I think they ran out of room there, did a cross-code out and then come back in again. It's a few empty seats now, Dean.
Yeah, similar to the game at the weekend. Almost why would you stay? It doesn't feel as if there's any real chance of a late comeback, of a mini miracle. It's so flat with the players.
Well,
He looks a forlorn figure standing in the dugout, isolated and on his own, his hands rammed behind his back. Manchester United fans who are leaving the ground might want to call the sports bar. It's on with Dean Saunders and Jamie O'Hara as soon as we finish. 03717 22 33 44 on Talksport tonight. Give us a call. You can send us a text, 81089. We'd love to hear from you. Manchester United fans, what happens next? What do you do next? Here is Anthony, right side, delivering across, left-footed. It's headed away. Too many poor performances again. Chances given to some. They made 7 changes tonight, Manchester United, but no one's impressed. Amrabat swirls the ball out to the far side, taken on by Anthony. Of course he wants to come in, field on his left foot before releasing it to Fernandes, whose ball into the box was pretty good. No one had the hunger to nudge it in.
Oh, his ball into the box was fantastic. Exactly what you need as a forward. Played in behind the defensive line. Marcus Rashford on his heels. I tell you who wasn't. Kieran Trippier. Brilliant defending.
Came across and swept up, put the ball out of play and away for a corner down in front of the Stretford end. On the left side as Manchester United look at it. And there's a few red shirts in the centre. It's aiming towards the near post, away by Trippier. We've nearly played 85 minutes. What's wrong with Manchester United? Why is it that managers cannot develop a coherent approach to games, a coherent style of play that anyone could recognise? Why is a man that was famed for the way that Ajax played their football not confident enough to instill a style of play that Manchester United can carry out? Here's Rashford trying to do something at the other end, heads the ball down, runs laterally across the 18-yard box, get a shot away, it's into a first body, it's smuggled by Newcastle, and then they come clear and over the halfway line, and Wan-Bissaka is in a chase with Wilson, and Wilson being backed up by Livramento, who's gone on beyond him. He tries to play it to him, it didn't quite work, so he needs to go backwards instead to Trippier, but they have possession inside opposition territory.
To be fair, Wilson knows his players. There's just almost no point trying to take on Wan-Bissaka 1v1 there.
Guimaraes just turns and smashes the ball at Reguilon. It goes out of play, then turns to the Newcastle supporters and conducts them as if he was holding a baton in an opera house and had an orchestra behind him. They sing back at him, Bruno, Bruno, and then they take their time over the throw-in. There's a few words from Anthony into Bruno. Mason Mount has a word as well. They're not happy, and they should be looking at their own performances rather than worrying about everybody else. Mount drags down Sean Longstaff on this near side. It's going to be a free kick on the right side, and it's getting embarrassing. And look at those Newcastle fans. You hear what they're saying? The Geordie boys are taking the mick, and they have been. They have been.
Yeah. There's plenty in there with their shirts off.
And there's me and you with our thermals on tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Manchester United can't be warmed up either. 3 minutes to go before the end. Trippier's got a free kick on this right-hand side. He's going to swirl this into the penalty box. Right-footed, deep towards the far post. It's a Newcastle head that gets there first, but it's an easy take for Onana, and he looks to clear upfield. There was a pass on for him to Anthony over on the far side, but he declined to release it that quickly, and as a result, any chance of catching Newcastle on the hop came to an end. What has happened to Old Trafford? Once a place to fear, an experience so daunting you'd barely escaped with your kit. Now everyone wins here. A 5th defeat in 8 games in the offing for Manchester United. Ten Hag said brazenly before this game he thought his team were moving in the right direction. I think he needs to reprogram his sat-nav.
I mean, there's been a lot said, hasn't there, in the week about the style, about what we see from this Manchester United team. And he's been in the job long enough that you should really see and know exactly how his team are playing and the patterns that are put in place that we see so often with other sides. You're just not seeing it at all. And I'm talking from the start of the game. Not now you're chasing the game, right from the start.
Well, they've been chasing the game since the 29th minute. Now, when you look back at the goals, the way that Tino Livramento scooted past Mason Mount and Hannibal to charge 70 yards up the pitch from right full back towards the middle of the United half, feed Almiron, who
had come off the bench. He wasn't supposed to play tonight, but scored the goal that put them in front. And then the poor defending which led to the ball dropping on the edge of the box for Lewis Hall, who cracked one in on the volley beautifully beyond Andre Onana. And then just the reaction of Joel Willock to win the ball from Amrabat in midfield. He snapped into a tackle, charged up the pitch, went 10 yards and smacked it low and hard beyond Andre Onana for 3-0. And Manchester United have had nothing like the quality and nothing like the desire in response.
I know it's the small things as well, especially when you're here and you see it live, that you can watch players off the ball. You can watch how the Newcastle players, when they lose the ball, the determination to get back into your position to defend, and a shape and a structure, how quickly they do that. And then you watch the Manchester United players and how they amble back, or they run into the wrong position to defend, to leave another gap open. I mean, it's just so obvious.
Ball out of play on this near side. Manchester United's Old Trafford is basically just lots of big black overcoats dotted in a sea of empty plastic red chairs at this moment in time. It has emptied even faster than it did on Sunday when Manchester City started taking the mick, started pushing the ball around. Everyone comes into United's backyard now and has a bit of a party. 4 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. Hoyland taking the ball down, half cleared by Paul Dummett, out towards the right side. Wan-Bissaka puts it out of play. Newcastle are a club that has clear thinking from the very top, a clear sense of direction, a clear recruitment strategy, and a clear thinking manager who gets his team in sync. Manchester United have none of the above, I'm afraid.
I mean, this has got to be a competition now that Newcastle have to fancy winning.
Well, look at their draw now. Liverpool, Chelsea, Everton, Fulham, West Ham, Middlesbrough, Port Vale, Newcastle. They're in the last 8 and in a great chance of competing for this trophy once again.
I mean, they'd like a kind of draw, wouldn't they, than they've had so far in the competition.
Well, they've knocked out both Manchester City and Manchester United. Not many teams do that. I think only 2 or 3 have done that before in the League Cup. And Manchester United, the latest victims to Newcastle, have played very well. Bruno Guimaraes and Mason Mount are having a big discussion in the middle of the park. I'm not sure Mount needs to get involved in that. Tino Livramento has been given the sponsors player of the match after his contribution, and he has been very good down that right hand side. And although he's got Kieran Trippier in front of him at this moment in time, you get the feeling he's going to be around for some years to come. Tino Livramento. Joel Linton is chasing down the Newcastle left. Across comes Aaron Wan-Bissaka. One of his long pipe cleaner legs pokes the ball out of play, but he's the only thing that's got acceleration in that United team, the half-time substitute. Everybody else looks slow, cumbersome and lumbering as they look to get back into shape. 92 minutes gone. Manchester United haven't been this bad since 1972, when they lost this many games at the start of a season. Franco Farrell was sacked. Tommy Docherty came in. He couldn't stop them from being relegated next season. They went down to the second division, and it was the start eventually of a purge and a long way back, but it was a long way back. And Manchester United once again are looking at the horizon. City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Tottenham are sitting on it, and they're turning into the Premier League's nowhere men. Free kick to Newcastle, down by the corner flag. They're happy to keep the ball in Manchester United territory. They've been second to every ball. Their craft has been limited. They look a step down in quality from their opponents tonight. Opponents that made 8 changes and started with a full defence of fullbacks, and still they couldn't score past the Manchester United. 03717223344. The sports bar is open for business, and it will be the place to take your calls over the course of the next few hours. Jamie O'Hara and Dean Saunders, I'm sure, will have their say on Manchester United.
And all those that have left and vacated this arena will too. Maguire guides it back to Onana. There's been no intent by Manchester United since the third goal to try and get any sort of way back into this game. It's just the Newcastle fans, the soundtrack of this Newcastle group, that's providing the backdrop to another humiliation at Old Trafford for the home team. Wan-Bissaka coming forward. Newcastle also showing, Dean, the depth of their squad and the ability that they've got and the way that their club has been organised over the last few years. There's the full-time whistle. Listen to the boos. If there was any hope that this season was still salvageable for Manchester United, then those hopes may just have been quashed. Manchester United are in rotten form and look like a team that, far from capitalising on their first season under Erik ten Hag, are a team going backwards and going backwards fast. Newcastle look like the opposite, well run, aligned, a proper transfer overlord and a very good manager. Manchester United have none of that, and the holders are out of the Carabao Cup to the team that they beat in the final. A modicum of revenge for Eddie Howe? I don't think he really cares. He just wants to go and challenge once again. Manchester United, they ain't doing that. It's finished. Manchester United 0, Newcastle 3.
Well, former England striker Dean Ashton, let me ask you a couple of questions. Manchester United sounded absolutely awful in that game. That's the way it was coming across with you and Sam Matterface. Can Erik ten Hag survive this?
I'm not too sure, Aid. What was startling was when that second goal went in for Newcastle in that first half. The one thing I thought I would see is the manager step forward from his dugout into that technical area, and to be honest, at the very least, give the players some support, because you could just see the confidence was on the floor and they needed some guidance, some energy, you know, a shouting voice from the side, something, and you just didn't see him. He did not come out at all to the technical area. I thought that was such a bad look for the manager here tonight, and all of the sort of good feeling that he seemed to have built from last season. It's a bit like the stadium, Aid. It's crumbling away from Erik ten Hag, and I don't really know where he does go from here in terms of his own confidence.
Newcastle United, injury hit, resting players for the Arsenal game at the weekend. They've gone there and made it look easy with a defence that actually really isn't a defence on paper. Kraft and Dummett at centre-half. They're not centre-halves and they barely play anyway, so all credit to them. And the goals they scored were fantastic.
Maldini and Nesta, they were tonight, honestly. I jokingly said it, sort of, at the start of the game, but they saw off Martial, who offered next to zero. But I think what they did show, Aid, and this is credit to Eddie Howe, it's credit to the environment that he's created at the football club, is that any player now that comes in, whether they've played a minute last week or haven't played for a year, have got this like desire, this hunger to wear the shirt, to play with pride, to play with a professionalism that's required to play for a top club. And as we see the Newcastle players and staff all stand in front of those 7,000 Newcastle supporters, I think it shows how far away Manchester United are when they can bring in the players that have been forgotten and that can perform in that way.
Dean, been a joy to listen to your commentary tonight. Thank you very much. Let me give you the full-time scores on Talksport. Carabao Cup 4th round, West Ham 3, Arsenal 1.